Okay, hello everyone. I hope it's going to work. I'm broadcasting here live from Brazil. Actually, it's Campinas. It's close to Sao Paulo for those of you who've been in Brazil. The local time here is 10 p.m. So we are 3 hours ahead of Eastern time and 6 hours ahead of Western time, which is quite amazing because I'm usually the one who's lagging behind and I'm ahead of a lot of you, not everybody. I mean, there are some Australians who may be listening. I hope you do hear me, so I'm going to go over to the chat quickly and make sure everything is fine. I'm switching here from screen to screen. So let me just see. I also have to get myself live on Facebook, so just give me a second. I will do that quickly. Where is Facebook? Yes. Okay, that should put me live on Facebook too at the moment. So, very good. So let me first greet everybody here on YouTube. Very nice to see you. Manfred Miller, Osprey Mama, Cameron, the Asteroid Dragon, Kathy Harter, Terry Green, Judy Lattimore, our special Lady Hawk, who's also provided in some amazing material. We'll talk about it. Tree climbing. Patty is there. I saw Patty recently. Very nice to have you here on the live stream. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. That helps me because I'm juggling here with one single screen backwards and forwards. So I'm going to just wait to hear your comments. In the meantime, I'm going to see if everything's working on YouTube. Just let me see this 1 second. Sorry, on the other channel. So just give me a second to sort everything out, and then I will get right into the topic. Let me see. Loud and clear, says Terry Green. Thank you. That helps me so much. Okay. Let me see where I am now on. I'm trying to find myself on Facebook, but I'm not sure if that is working. It's very difficult to see. Facebook is a bit more difficult, and I don't know if it's working. Let me just check my technology, so give me a second. It says I'm online there, so why am I not seeing myself there? Just give me a second, and I'll be right with you. Where is it? My goodness. I have no idea. I have no idea if I'm actually live on. Oh yes, I think I am. No, that's not live. No. You're live on Facebook. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Kathy. That is great. For some reason I cannot at the moment see the. So you are saying I'm on Facebook. Thank you so much for telling me. That helps me a lot because at the moment I'm trying to find my comments on Facebook, and I do not know why. What I'm going to do is just refresh the page, and maybe it'll come in. So just give me a second, and I'll be right with you. I'm having very simple means here, so I'm absolutely delighted it's actually working. Yes, here we go. I can now see it. Very nice. Okay, so I've got 33 on Facebook. Yes, I can see it. Wonderful. It's actually working. So let's first give the great news, and thank you so much to Lady Hawk. Special friend Lady Hawk, who is so amazing, who's given me updates everywhere. Without Lady Hawk working non-stop, it would be impossible. I'm just going to play you this amazing video here. I've gone back about 2.5 hours here, so back into daylight, to this amazing live of this fluffy E12 that we see here. So absolute congratulations to Southwest Florida Nest here, to Harriet and M15. Really fantastic. And Lady Hawk has also confirmed to me just a few minutes ago that there was a PIP. I hope I got this right, Lady Hawk. Correct me if I got it wrong. But my understanding is there's also a PIP on E13, on the egg of E13. Isn't that wonderful? I mean, this is such joy. This is such joy to see this fluffy little head there who can't even support its head. So really congratulations to everyone on the Southwest Florida Nest. That is so, it's so amazing, isn't it? I'm jumping backwards here from screen to screen and trying to catch your comments at the same time. Yes, Lady Hawk says, thank you so much, Christian, you are amazing. Well, I'm not amazing, actually. The only thing I'm doing here is I'm very grateful I have internet here because I want to talk a bit about the quite a difficult term. It's called anthropomorphism, something that you may have heard this, but we're going to talk about grief. So just before we talk about grieving of animals and our human behavior and the relation to it, I would like to thank Osprey Mama and also Lady Hawk and also Suzanne for providing some material here. Thank you to all of you for improvising here and making this stream possible. We're going to have a very interesting discussion tonight, really interesting. So I have very simple means. As you can see, it's fairly warm here, not as warm as it was yesterday. Had lots of Brazilian families. It's very simple here, which I enjoy. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the environment I have here. It's very simple. There's hardly anything on the walls here. There's only beds and so on. But the people have an enormously big heart here. You get so much food and so much happiness. I don't speak Portuguese, but I wave with my hands. My lovely wife, Rosanna, by the way, is doing the translation. And the heart speaks so much. And that gave me the idea, actually, to talk a little bit. You see such wonderful pictures that can bring your tears, as we speak here in the background. And at the same time, we have this incredible grief also at the Northeast Florida nest. And these are so many mixed emotions. And that's what I want to talk a bit about because I'm going to now switch over. Let me see. It's so cute. Maybe I'll just let it run still a little bit because it's just so amazing, isn't it? It's such an amazing picture here. So the little one is exhausted. By the way, it doesn't have its own capability at the moment to provide its own give itself some thermal equilibrium, which means to provide its own heat. That takes about 2 weeks or so and still have enough feathers and fluffiness to support itself. So at the moment, all it knows is to eat, and it can barely hold its little head. And it's going to grow at a rapid rate. There was a broadcast, by the way, that I gave about a year ago about this growth rate, and I don't have the data here, but it's very interesting how quickly they eat. And there comes a certain point, I think about 2 or 3 weeks, where they grow. It's nearly collapsed there. So this is going about back 2.5 hours, what you see here. Pictures we can enjoy now that are so phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And it's so phenomenal that we see these huge talons and this very careful, I mean, look at that. There's not a single misstep here. It's just wonderful to see. So congratulations to everyone at the Pritchett nest. I was fortunate to be there and see that in February. By the way, the same at Northeast Florida, really amazing. So I just had to show this to you. So let's jump now to the Northeast Florida nest. They had an outage yesterday, was my understanding. So let's see if I can, oh, that is a live view. So you can see the local time there. Let's see if this is the live view. Yes, it should be. 1920. Yeah, that is correct. 1907 is the correct time. I'm sorry, I just had to translate it in my head. So I believe that this is Romeo, of course, again sitting on the eggs, but we're at day 39 there now, at day 39. And as you know, a few days ago, Juliet was lost, and we have to unfortunately assume a very tragic, very tragic events there. And that brings me right to the topic now. So what I would like to do is I really would like to communicate and allow you to communicate and bring your own feelings about the subject. And I'll tell you why I'm bringing up the subject here about animal grief, right? And first I want to explain a little bit of what we mean by anthropomorphism and where that term comes from. And then we're going to get a little bit about, talk a bit about eagle grief. And do animals really grieve? Or is this a projection that we have? And the reason why I'm bringing up this topic is before I left Vancouver for Brazil, I had a lot of comments coming in. Most comments very positive, complimentary, and I can tell you those of you who know me, I'm very compassionate about eagles. But some of these comments were really also aggressive, and even one or two I deleted. Because, hi, Amanda's also there. Very, very nice to see you. I'm just going to welcome everyone. Marty Lord, Terry Singer, Jane, John, Robin Tappan. I'm going to read out all your comments as we speak. So prepare yourself to bring in some comments. But coming back now to why I'm doing this broadcast is some of you projected their own grief onto me and said I was very hard, saying that this is the way nature works, which a remark I absolutely made. But it was not out of lack of compassion, I assure you. It was something I learned from David Hancock, is also to look at things objectively and just do remarks. So, you know, people grieve in different ways, in very different ways. And I respect that. The only thing is, please be respectful when you grieve and try not to take it out on me. I am maybe, I am just here to respect whatever views you may have, but I'm not here. I'm neither uncompassionate or anything. I'm here to help, and I'm very interested actually to hear your views on this. Does that make sense? That's really what it's about. Okay, so my question. So before we start, let me give you a definition and a little bit of feedback on what anthropomorphism is. That's quite a difficult word. It comes from the Greek. Anthropo, of course, means human, and morphic is, of course, the shape that it takes, right? It derives from the verb anthropomorph. I can hardly say that word. Anthropomorphize, from the Greek, of course, anthropos, and a morph means the form. And it was first tested in 1753. And the biggest single example that we have about anthropomorphism is actually from Germany, from the upper Paleolithic age, which was about 40,000 years ago. And it's called der Löwenmensch. Löwenmensch from German means the lion man. And they found, and you see this very often also in in Buddhistic cultures, you'll see this. You see a lion, and also a very sympathetic lion, and a lion man. And that, so the concept of anthropomorphism goes back long in history. And of course, we all do this. We have our own pets, our own cats and dogs or birds, whatever it may be, and we associate feelings, and it's very difficult to separate ourselves. I don't separate myself from the dogs, and some of you have seen that. I project my own human feelings into that. I'm sure you do the same. And then when it comes to wildlife, we do the same, because many of you sit there a lot and you, with incredible detail, you watch the animals, you watch the behavior of the birds, and you know them so well, often much better than biologists or myself or anybody, because you observe them all the time and you become very attached. And when something tragic like that happens, to Juliet, which has just happened, it of course triggers incredible pain and grief within you, and that's very understandable. And this is that you've been watching cameras for quite a long time, and so I'm going to open the floor now to discussion. I'm going to read out your comments as they come in. So please give me your own thoughts on this. I'm going to go through Facebook and YouTube individually, and I will read out your comments. Tell me, what do you think? Is this just a projection that we have? Is there some evidence that we actually have that eagles really grieve? What have you seen? What have you witnessed? Do you have any other parallels at home with your animals? Anything you've seen, possibly with monkeys, with whatever with whatever primate, whatever animal it may be, raptor? Do you have examples? That's the discussion I would like to open. Once we've done that, I will show you 2 examples and also give you David Hancock's view on this. He's an excellent eagle biologist, because I discussed this subject before, but I don't want to dominate the discussion. I want to open the floor really right for you. Okay, so I'm going to write to you. So I'm going to just read out some comments I have. Let me start with YouTube. Let's see what we have. So Chris Weatherly says, so aren't humans animals too, and don't we grieve similarly? That is a great question, Chris. That is a great question. I'm leaving that question open. I'm not here to answer it. I'm going to facilitate discussions. Christine says, you've done a great job in your chats, Christine. Thank you so much. I'm trying my best. I'm not perfect, Christine, all but perfect. And really sorry if I offend anyone. That's not the meaning here. Sherry M says, well said, Christopher, and you're just delivering information. That is really true. Okay, let's go down. Jackie Laughlin says mythology. That's correct. And Tiger Lily 999, we went through this last year with Dad Decora. Okay, so here we have an example, Dad Decora, but the experts knew we were hurting and they had a memorial service. Interesting. Okay, Proud Cat Mama of Two is also there. So I'm going to jump now to Facebook and let's see what Sue McCarthy says. Yes, they do. You can hear it in their vocals. That is an interesting point. So Sue says, yes, absolutely. Marty Lord says, I believe all animals grieve. They might not show it in the way humans do, but of course they grieve. And Harriet did it for Aussie. And that is, of course, you said it already, that is one of the main examples that we have is Harriet and Aussie. And in the meantime, so many of you have mentioned it. And it's a topic we will definitely, definitely touch on. Mary Eversole says, they do. My one cat grieved for his brother when he passed away. Well, there you go. Okay. Lynn Mills asks, what happened to Juliet? The answer is, we don't know. If you look how thick the trees and the green is at the Northeast Florida nest, there is absolutely no way at the moment, and I know the moderators have tried very hard at the nest, there is unfortunately no way that Juliet can be found with so many trees. I remember Gretchen told me, I think on Tuesday or Wednesday, I think since Tuesday evening when Juliet was missing, they went out the very next day, they went on a boat trip, tried everything, they could not find Juliet. So nobody knows. We do know, however, that Juliet was injured just earlier and that there are two females now at the Northeast Florida nest. And you can hear them. I mean, I wake up very early here. It's about 3 a.m. Florida time. So I often hear that they're very vocal whilst Romeo is sitting on the eggs. And I do, and please jump in if I'm wrong. I'm not watching them. I'm out a lot here with the family and many other things. But my understanding is that one of the females, I think they called her A2, did sit on the eggs for a while. However, it's day 39 there, so it's getting increasingly unlikely. They are very reliable, the very reliable pattern that Romeo and Juliet had since 11 years. We do know that the first hatch is always 37 days and the second one always 36 days. Very reliable. That pattern is completely broken and it's becoming increasingly unlikely, which may, under circumstances, be the best, actually. I know that sounds hard, but I mean, you wouldn't want to see the ramifications of a hatch and possible attacks by eagles who don't, who do not see them as their own. And you must also think that Romeo has to get his own food, and it's going to be exceptionally difficult to look after that, right? So I'm going to bring in some more comments. Yes, Osprey Mama says, yes, A2 has begun incubating. So that is interesting. That is very interesting. So that has been. Terry Singer has a long story here. Oh gosh, now it jumped away. You know, this irritates me so much about Facebook. I was just going to read out your comment, and I wish I could expand them more. So excuse that. I don't know. It's not like in YouTube where the comments are rolling up and down, and I can easily go backwards and forwards. I can't. But Kathleen Benner says, I was rehabbing a juvenile eagle who was in a mew with one of our education eagles. Liberty exhibited signs of grief when that eagle was eventually removed. She went off her food and just seemed down. Well, there you go. Mikiko says, agree with you, Sasse. So I hope I said something right there. So there we go. Proud Cat Mama of Two says, Dr. Sasse, I had two cats, brothers from the same litter. One passed and his brother grieved, and then he passed several months later. Animals feel loss. And I think, you know, when you have such a connection with your pets, you know, that is very likely that you would understand that. It's very interesting. If you go to the scientific literature, we find very little. I was searching quite a lot, and I found very little. Scientists seem to be very skeptical. They're not definitely right or wrong here, but it is very difficult for us because we have, as someone already said before, very special ways of looking at grief, right? Because we have such a special way of dealing with grief, animals may react differently. And I want to actually open the floor here with some questions. 1 second, I'm just going to take some water. It's very hot here. I have to switch off the fan because otherwise you won't hear me. Okay. So I will read out your comments in parallel, but let me just open the question and let's get a little bit more specific. So there are different circumstances here. In one case, let's look at the eagle specifically. In one case, the question is, there is a pair of eagles that are inhabiting a nest, right? A nest. And there is, at the moment, there are no eggs or anything. They're just there. And then, for some reason, one of them goes missing. Okay, so one of the pairs goes missing. How does the eagle respond in comparison to what we are seeing right now with Romeo and Juliet, where Romeo is extremely busy at the moment, taking responsibility? Do you think there's a difference here? And let's go a step further. If one of the young die, and that has happened, one of the hatchlings has died, have you noticed any different types of grief there, or is that something that is still undetermined? Which of these different scenarios do you think is the one where we would be, where we could clearly say, I think I can associate this more with grief? Do you think eagles react differently to their young than we do? I mean, if you lose a child, which is horrifically horrible, the grief will be incredible. If you lose your partner, the grief is also incredible. You will grieve, and we'll all grieve in very different ways. But maybe animals react differently. I've seen some comments here on, especially on kittens. I have seen some comments. But what about eagles? We have 3 scenarios here. Again, they're inhabiting a nest, and one of them gets lost. The second case is they are having, this is the situation of Romeo and Juliet at the moment. So one of them is watching the eggs, and then Juliet goes missing. Would you expect a different behavior there? To the third one, and that is when you have a hatchling, and then after a few days it passes away. So that is, those are very different scenarios. I would love to hear your comments on this, because that's really what I'm thinking. Is this very different? And let's concentrate on eagles. So I'm going to open the floor now. I'm just going to read some more of your comments. There are a lot of comments coming in here. So Donna Thompson says, animals also pick up our grief. You know, Donna, that is a great remark. I haven't even touched on that subject. I haven't even touched on that subject, and you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I mean, there's some excellent examples there, especially on YouTube or similar, where animals pick up our grief. Kathleen Holtz-Benner, sorry if I mispronounced your name, even chickens grieve. I had one, oh gosh, now I jumped away again. I really don't like this. Yeah, I had one cry very loudly when her mate fell over dead, really. Pamela Baca-Hain says, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, when Phoenix died from Hornby Island, right, nest, and Ma returned minutes later, she, Ma, let out a horrible different sounding shriek and never did come back to the nest the rest of the season. Neither did Pa. Her voice sounded painful. Well, that's here you go. You've answered one of the questions already by saying this. So let me just see. So when Phoenix returned and Ma returned later, she later died. Okay, so that was a grief over a partner, and then they left the nest. So if I understand correctly, they did not have any young at that stage. But that was the first scenario that I was referring to. Mickey Cost, different reaction from an animal compared to a human doesn't mean that they aren't grieving. Yes, 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 absolutely. They have to survive, so that they need to even so they need to even greater move around and survive, where humans can just chart around it and talk the time. Okay, I'm probably not reading it correctly, but I understand what you're saying is, Mickey, that humans have a very different way, especially with, I mean, typically we would socialize when we're in grief. I mean, also people who completely retreat and go into drinking or whatever. We have very different ways of dealing with. Catherine says, yes, I've seen it in 2 pairs of my adults when they lost their mate. And let me jump now back to YouTube, because so many comments coming in. So MJ, oh, and I can't pronounce your STNPY, oh gosh, I never know how these PNT, whatever that meant. If Juliet doesn't come back and the eggs are unviable, do you think Romeo will mate right away with a new female? Well, we will see. We will see. I don't want to give my opinion on that. I have an opinion, but I don't want to voice it here. Maybe if someone else wants to jump in here and voice, how do you believe Romeo will react here? Kathy Muniz says, I would think eagles in a long-term relationship. Yes. Osprey Mama. Yes, we know that raptors have instinctive behaviors, so even if grieving, they are in survival mode. That's a very important, that you sound like a nurse, Osprey Mama. That is absolutely correct. So I would completely agree with you. They go into survival mode because that is more important. So that means that there are certain duties and instinct that seem to prevail. Probably what we're seeing right now in Romeo at the moment, just taking over responsibility and doing what he has to do. Chaplain Chick says, Romeo has experienced trauma. Fighting for the nest, absolutely. Juliet being injured and is trying to keep up care of the eggs. And isn't that incredible? That is exactly in line with what Osprey Mama just said. It is very instinctive behavior. You have to protect the nest. You have to take care of the eggs, even if they're not viable anymore. And it looks very unlikely that they are viable because we are in day 39 already. Now, we do know from some statistics that Judy Barrows has kept the most incredible statistics of eagles, that it can go right up to day 42, that it's not too late, right? But it's kind of becoming increasingly unlikely, very increasingly unlikely by the minute, right? Yes, so thank you for all your comments. Let me jump back to Facebook now. Now my comments, they're just disappearing again. I wish I could expand the comments more on Facebook before they just disappear. And I don't have much control over that. Okay, Kelly, let me see if I can get, yeah, Coquetto. I think if Juliet doesn't show up, Romeo will definitely take another mate to keep offspring coming. So that is the answer on Facebook to what we just heard on YouTube. Thank you for answering that, Kelly. That's a great answer. Tina Fox says on Facebook, there was even the trio nest. Now, there comes the second example, the trio nest. And we'll get right to the trio nest too, with 1 male and 2 females. So you're talking about the steward's nest here. And 2 males helping with chicks. Eagles do grieve, but the instinct tells them, great example. So we got the Aussie example, which we'll go back to in a moment. And we also have the steward's trio example, which is quite fantastic. Both of which I will bring up thanks to Lady Hawk and thanks to Osprey Mama, who have supplied some background material on all of these. So let's jump right in. So I will just keep your comments coming in. So let me just jump back in and give you that view. So the first contribution here from Lady Hawk, thank you very much, passing me the link here, which was posted on the 19th of March, 2015. And it says Southwest Florida Eagles haunting verses from Harriet, first time to the porch, which happened exactly at this tragic incident just when just when Aussie got lost, and that was on the 19th of March 2015. So I'm running this without the permission of your dog New. So thank you very much for giving the opportunity, and I'm giving all the credit to you and also the credit to Lady Hawk for letting me play this. The audio is not very good on this. I'm going to hopefully you will hear the audio, but just listen to the haunting sounds and I'll be quiet for a second. Yeah, let me go back and play that once more. I'm just going to switch the cameras. By the way, it's very nice to see all three cameras up again at the Northeast Florida nest. That is the upper view, and we also have the other view, which I'm not going to put up at the moment. So this local time there is 7:30 at night p.m. And let's jump right back and comment. I hope you could hear that. So Lady Hawk, first of all, thank you very much. She said Aussie got injured on the 17th of March 2015, and this is Harriet crying for him. So there you go. Thank you very much, Lady Hawk, for putting that in again. And I'm sorry if I mix up anything. I have so much to think of at the moment, so I'm grateful for all the comments that are coming in to help me correct everything. We never heard Harriet cry this way before. That's also what Lady Hawk says here. So again, thank you very much for providing this example. It's quite a daunting sound that gets right to your, goodness me, to your liver or heart or whatever you want to call it, to your soul, because it's incredible. That was so sad, says Chaplain Chick. I hope you could hear that. Marty Lord says, sounds that came out of Harriet when Aussie was missing. I have never heard from her since. Heartbreaking sounds. Kim Stout says, the tears at your heartstrings. Well, that tears at your heartstrings. Yes, it does. It does. Diana Tyler, hello, Christian. Hello. Very nice to see you. So I think this is probably the single most, the single most compelling recording that we have of a vocal that shows that, and those of you who knew Aussie very well, I certainly did not, will recognize this. Tina Callender says, thank you, Lady Hawk. I also say thank you very much. Just looking at any other comments so I don't miss anything here. Maureen R. says, the female eagles certainly seemed to know the coast was clear to show up at the nest. Wonder if they witnessed Julia's demise. Good question. Good question. Right, right. Yes, and that was, wow. Wow, what can I say? That was a very, that sound went to one soul. I do want to quickly, gosh, now I'm sorry, I feel a little bit sad myself, but I wanted to say, you know, David Hancock gave me a very good example, actually. We have a nest in White Rock, and there's no camera there. And I know the nest very well, too. It's yeah, it's in a special golf course in White Rock. And David Hancock was telling me that he, who observes so many nests, probably more than anybody else I know, a few years ago witnessed that that one of the eagles got killed by crashing into a car. And the sounds that he heard from its mate, and I don't remember whether it was the male or the female, the nest as such wasn't occupied with eggs, but they were preparing, was daunting. It went on for hours in the most horrific screams that he's ever heard. So for me, hearing that from David Hancock is probably the single, clearest evidence that I have that animals grieve. Okay, so do I believe that animals grieve? Absolutely, especially when it comes from David Hancock, because he's probably one of the most rational scientists that I know, and he offends many people by often not taking the anthropomorphic side of things. And if he says that, I think he's absolutely credible. So that's I have not heard it myself, but I have now for the first time heard Harriet grieving over Aussie, and that was incredible. But I think those of you who have heard these type of sounds will understand it, right? Swarm 5050 says, the female at the Decorah nest did the same when her mate went missing last season. But she was, wailing for a long time. And Dancer Dance says, this happened in the Hanover nest, right, where the female went missing and dad kept incubating covered in snow without eating for a couple of days. So there you go, you have so many examples. Cheryl Meyer says, who was that crying? So we are talking here about Harriet, right? Harriet, who's doing so well now, crying over Aussie, that was it. I hope the audio came in through enough. I cannot control the audio very well from here because I'm running all with a single computer. Kate Lawler says, I think all creatures grieve. They mate for life, and if one is hurt, they are concerned for the hurt partner. Yes, they are concerned for the hurt partner. Yeah. Oh, there, by the way, that's Northeast Florida. That is our famous Harriet. That's our famous, what am I saying? Our famous Romeo. I'm getting all mixed up here. Our famous Romeo running backwards and forwards there and doing his duty on the eggs. Yes, says Osprey Mama, the audio was good. I'm glad the audio came. Is Juliet dead? Asked Chris Weatherly. Or was she just driven from the nest from a stronger female eagle? Well, Chris, I think, unfortunately, she's probably not alive anymore because she would probably come back, right? It's just the way they are. They would come back, especially after so many years. I don't have any proof for what I'm saying, but I think if you look at their behavior, anybody who has watched Northeast Florida Nest for a long time would probably agree with me that unfortunately, and this is the worst scenario that we have to, that we have to go through, is we can assume that Juliet is dead. Unfortunately, not being found by a rehab center, so sorry about that. Sherry M. Alice was, Elise, I don't know how to pronounce that. That was Big Bear Lake in California, right? I mean, California, of course, the Big Bear Lake. I remember that nest very well. We've covered it in detail, especially with all the snow that we had last year. My goodness, a lot of you gave very good recordings from the Big Bear Lake camera in California. I remember that very well. Yes. Liza Sluska, I hope I pronounced it correct, Sluska. What are your thoughts regarding Northeast Florida eggs still be viable? My honest opinion there, Lisa, highly improbable. Highly improbable because although it's much warmer in Northeast Florida, from the statistics that we're looking at, it's highly unlikely. There's still hope for the second egg because, if I remember correctly, it's supposed to be day 36, which puts us either today or tomorrow. But seeing what we see on the first egg, it's highly unlikely, and maybe under the circumstances, the best we can wish for. I know it sounds horrible, but you wouldn't want to see, and I wouldn't want to be in the shoes of the Northeast Florida moderators having to switch off the camera when something horrific happens if they hatch, right? So that's my own view. Right. Alice Pearl says, I remember when Aussie passed away and Harriet crying. Yes, that was very sad. That's what we just listened to. Been to Southwest. They have very good memories of Aussie. They do. My goodness, I have never known Aussie, but I certainly have learned a lot about Aussie. It was even in the Washington Post. It was everywhere. I think Aussie was probably one of the most famous eagles. Yeah. Pat Davis says, absolutely. My one cat's mother died, elderly cat. Her son went from room to room, over and over, calling for her in a voice I have never heard before, and never heard again after a month of repetitions. It was deep and so mournful. It was heartbreaking. Mourning is often documented in large animals such as elephants. There you go, Pat Davis. Thank you. That is a great contribution here. Talking here all the way from the mother's cat all the way to elephants. Very good. Thank you so much. Chris Weatherly saying, thank you, Dr. Sasse, for being so truthful about the situation with Juliet. I'm so sad, but I appreciate honesty. And yes, and if you don't agree with me, please don't take it out on me. Just be respectful. I'm not here to give the absolute truth. I'm all but about the absolute truth. So don't get me wrong. There you have missed the point with me. I am here to facilitate your opinions. Okay, I do have own opinions, but I'm not here to force them on anyone. Okay, just to be very clear. Okay, so let's have a look. I'm just going to give you. Let's take a look back at Southwest, just to get a little bit cheered up. I'm going to spool right forward to the present moment. Wait a second, that's not the present moment. 1 second. Now I'm back on Google. That was just some comedian I was on. And then we'll get to the other footage. 1 second, that was Northeast Florida. That we just, sorry, that was yes, this is, I wanted to go back. Where are we? Where are we? Eagle Cam Live. Here we are. Sorry. I just found it. This is what I was going to show you. So this is a night view here. And I don't know who this is on the egg. I need your help here. Whether this is Harriet or M15, I have no idea. So anybody who knows, and most of you know better than I do, please put in your comments and tell me who is on egg duty at the moment. Here you see this beautiful view, which I also very much appreciated, by the way, when I was at the Southwest Florida. So I'm just going to quickly look at your comments again and tell me who is on watch at the moment. Who is on watch? Harriet. This is Harriet, says Maggie Smith Haynes. Nice to have you back, Maggie. So that is Harriet. Thank you very much. Everybody, Susan says Harriet. Harriet, Linda Kaiser saying Harriet, so I got it. Terry Jones, Harriet. Alice Porro says it's Harriet. Jackie Porter says it's Harriet. Okay, thank you so much for helping me out here. It's definitely Harriet, so great. By the way, does Harriet take more care? Not more care, that's the wrong word. That's wrong. I shouldn't put it that way. Does Harriet have more egg duty or more hatch duty than M15, or do they take equal amounts of time on it? And what we're seeing at the moment with Romeo is so exceptional, defending the nest and everything it's really incredible. Pamela Haynes says also it's Harriet on the egg. Thank you so much. Kathy Munitz asks, have you ever heard of an eagle returning? I have not. No, not under these circumstances. I'm surely not as knowledgeable as many of you that observe eagles. What I know from David Hancock, what I've seen in White Rock, and many other nests, I have unfortunately not seen this before. Everything that we have seen, what is happening at the Northeast Florida nest, seems to indicate that it's not going to return unless it is picked up by a rehab center. and that rehab center does not know of the connection, right? Which is very unlikely, highly, highly unlikely, right? Especially with rehab centers being so acutely aware of nests and everything. So I do not believe that that could happen, right? It's on the banner of the Southwest side. Yes. Okay, so you're asking what this is. This is the Pritchett. So we're looking here. This is thanks to the Pritchett Real Estate. They're very kind people, by the way. They allow photographers to do amazing things around that. They also allowed me to walk around. As long as one's respectful of the eagles, and I hope people will remain to be respectful, everybody can enjoy the eagles. That's why people should have big lenses and not disturb the eagles. Okay, that's really important. And hopefully people will stay respectful so we can all enjoy the eagles. Kim Stout says, Harriet always takes night duty. I see. Her and M15 take turns during the day. Thank you very much. So there's our answer. Diana says, we love hearing from you and appreciate you taking the time out of your vacation. It's an absolute pleasure. I really like doing this, and I can tell you, people here in Brazil are very much taking part in this too, and they know what's going on. It's quite amazing. Sherry M says, Harriet takes the majority of the parental duties. M15 helps with giving Harriet breaks through the day, but Harriet takes on, that is completely what I've heard on Cherie, that is just what I've heard on Facebook. So, but Harriet takes on the nighttime sitting. So there we go. That's exactly what I've heard. Thank you. We always love your commentary. Thank you, Susie. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Pamela Haynes says, yeah. Okay, wait a second. What has happened there for a second? No, everything's fine. Sorry, I thought my live stream went astray, but it did not. It did not. It did not. Everything seems fine. Let me just switch the view here again. So I'll go back to, here we go. This should be that camera, the 360-degree camera. I'm going to leave out. We have a split view too. I'm not going to do the split view. I'm going to do the top view at the moment. So you can see the eggshell from the one and completely covered. So that is Harriet at the moment. I don't know where M15 is at the moment. Sitting on a branch, I wasn't able to make that out. But if you know that, let me know, please. You are fantastic moderators here, helping me, and commentators helping me to make this such an incredible experience. Thank you very much. Kelly Crochetto says, the female intruder rolled the eggs and sort of started incubating yesterday at the Northeast Florida nest. Is that normal, I wonder? I do not have an answer to that, Kelly, because I don't know what is normal in this case, especially because my understanding is it's a very young eagle. I would say that's abnormal. That's my spontaneous reaction. But I may, if you want to correct me, please go ahead. If you've seen this behavior elsewhere, let me know. So let's go to the second example now. Before we do it, Dancer Dance says, the intruding eagle at Hanover destroyed the eggs. There you go. That is what I've seen. Dancer Dance, that's exactly what I've seen in White Rock. There was a 3 or 4 year intruder, and in no time do they destroy the eggs. That's exactly what I've seen that. That's exactly what I've seen that. And so let's jump to the trio nest that Susie Rhines Toth says, the 2 males at the trio nest that year were remarkable. This is exactly the story and that brings me right onto Osprey Mama, thank you very much, to the next example that I would like to share with you. If I find the page, I have to scroll backwards and forwards here. Yes, I can find the page. So here we go to the trio, and this is thanks to Osprey Mama. So I'm going to read this off straight so I get my facts correct. So this is the famous stewards of the Upper Mississippi River nest, a most remarkable nest with 2 males and 1 female. And we have exactly the opposite on the Channel Islands, where we have Superman and 2 females. So the only 2 nests that we know of, or I know of, I should say, maybe you know of more, where there's a trio actually looking after them. And Osprey Mama gave me the following instructions. I should scroll down, and here comes the long story of 2017. So this obviously didn't happen in 2015, what we have just seen with Aussie. This happened in 2017. And I'm just going to read this out, so pardon me. On the evening of March 24, 2 adult bald eagles attacked the nest. 2, isn't that remarkable? 2 adult bald eagles attacked the nest. The webcam recorded the attack that lasted for over an hour and shows 2 adult eagles battling on the ground in a desperate talon-clinching struggle. That is remarkable that there were 2. When the struggle ended, both eagles hopped out of sight of the webcam. Hope did not return. So that's the female, obviously. Hope did not return to the nest that night and still was not present at the nest. On the morning of March 25th, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service staff intensely searched the area under the eagle nest and adjoining land areas. The nest located on a narrow forested peninsula that's surrounded by Mississippi River backwaters. The searchers found no sign of Hope. So again, similar story of what we're seeing here with Juliet. No sign of Hope, nor feathers on the ground where the struggle occurred. Valor 1, so I hope I pronounced it correct, Valor or Valor 1 and Valor 2, Valor, I'm probably mispronouncing it, were disturbed by the searchers and remained off the nest during the search for several hours and after searchers left the area. On the evening of March 26, so this happened all on March 24, 2 days later, 2 bald eagles again made a second recorded attack on the nest. Valor 1 and Valor 2 boldly defended the chicks. That is even a worse situation, right? And prevented the marauding eagles from entering the nest, and no injuries were observed. Daily attacks occurred throughout April, with an occasional flyby in May. 2 males continued to raise the eaglets to fledging. They fledged on the 30th of May 2015. Hope is considered MIA and not expected to be found. So missing, right? It's missing and probably dead. That is an even more remarkable story. So they defended the nest and even raised the youngs. Absolutely remarkable. But it shows probably the strength of a trio here, doesn't it? It's something that you can only do with a trio because they have to take turns at the same time, defend the nest. This is the most horrendous and beautiful story that I have heard of a single nest. I don't know if there's any video on that. I'm sorry if I can't show it. I didn't find that at the moment. But thank you to Osprey Mama for coming and showing that to me, making me aware of this. So this is really great footage. Maybe not so much of grief here. At least I didn't find that here, but definitely taking responsibility, doing what you have to do by instinct or whatever it may be, and just defending and bringing up the chicks under incredibly horrendous circumstances. Thank you so much. Quite incredible. Swarm 50-50. Yes, the Saints one. Sorry, I like football. We're jumping to football. Okay. I have no comment on that. I'm not following that at the moment. Kay Campbell says, do you think there's a possibility, Juliet may be watching from afar? That's a wishful thinking, I would say. Since there have been 3 intruder females, no match for her or Romy. So what you're saying there is, of course, Juliet is aware, and that's often the case with eagles, that they are, when they get older, they're weaker, and they just become wiser and stay away. To survive, it's pure survival. However, would that survival instinct prevail over the motherly instinct? That's the question. I don't think so, but I may be wrong, right? I mean, who am I to judge? I don't know. This is speculation. I think probably not, right? But it's a very interesting question you raised there. Very interesting question. Thanks for that. Christian, thank you for stopping into the chat tonight. Well, thank you, Sally Herden, for saying that. And Patty Pellegrin is very nice. That's very nice that you're there too. I cry every time we lose one of the eagles or one of its babies, yes, of course. I mean, this is our human grief and our human compassion. Sorry if I'm dripping a little bit because it's so hot here. Thank you, Terry Green, for in honor of the Northeast Floridians. Thank you very much for your donation. I really appreciate that. It's going to go towards live streaming and many other things here. And I'm very grateful. By the way, I took some interesting footage today of life outside in Brazil. I cannot broadcast outside for reasons I'll explain some other time. But I can bring some footage, you know, back to you later. And I will do a follow-up on that from all the footage I'm taking. So thank you very much, Terry Green, for that donation. I really appreciate it. Do give this channel thumbs up. Thank you to everyone who's helping. So thumbs up is very appreciated. Liking and sharing is also very appreciated. And I also want to give my appreciation to every single one of you. You're giving this broadcast so much value, really so much value, by putting in so many beautiful comments and things I've not thought of. Or I'm cross-referencing from Facebook to YouTube and backwards and forwards. Dancer Dan says, I cried when the babies fell off the tree. Ah, the Cora North babies, yes. And you remember the berry story last year? Wasn't that similar? Claudia Neubauer is back. Yes, also coming in late. Good evening, Christian, everyone. Nice to see you again, Claudia. Very nice. Kathy Harter says, no, if Juliet was alive, she would... So that's the cross-reference here to the question that we just had on Facebook. No, if Juliet were alive, she would be with Romeo and her ex. That's what I would believe too. Her bonds are strong with Romeo and her nest. I would believe the same. I would believe the same. Osprey Mama says, with Hog Island Osprey, right, during the owl attacks, when the last 3 or 4 babies were left, the female osprey mom Rachel did risk her own life many times fighting off the nest with the owl. Oh my goodness, that must have been a scene, Osprey Mama. If you ever have some footage again that you can give cross-reference, please let me know. I mean, you all are so observant. Thank you for that comment. I'm going to jump back now to YouTube again. Tim Phillips says that there was the Cora Eagle 31 that fell. Great cross-reference to YouTube here. Fantastic. Thank you very much. That was the Cora Eagle 31 that fell. And Cheryl Meyer says, me too. What a wonderful soul. Yes, Barry was so sad, wasn't it, Susan Ristine? Barry was very sad. Yes, I remember reporting on that. On that. Thank you, Osprey Mama, for doing that. That's great. Susie Rhines-Toth says, we have all shed so many tears over our lost eagles and other raptors that we come to love. I would certainly rather we cry than be indifferent to the survival. I completely agree. You know, I mean, any one of you who has deeply grieved, and I'm sure that is probably nearly all, if not all of you, know that crying is something very important in order to grieve. I mean, grieving is the healing process. And if we don't cry and we cannot grieve, it becomes almost impossible to heal. And sometimes it's about human beings, sometimes it's about animals, but we grieve. And I completely agree with you. Susie Paris says, Merry Christmas, everyone. And the other and Linda says, Merry Christmas to you too. And Shirley Heaton says, Merry Christmas to you too. And all here, one Merry Christmas to all of you. You know, here in Brazil, they celebrate Christmas Eve. That's the 24th, the same tradition that we have in Germany, by the way. So, as you know, Brazil is very Catholic. And it's the evening of the 24th that counts. So, I already wish you a very Merry Christmas to all of you. So tomorrow I'll definitely not be broadcasting more for the next days. So, but I will be probably back 26 or 27 or sometime around there. And, you know, I can't wait to give updates there. We will, in the meantime, then understand what's happened with the Northeast Florida nest. So let's just see. Oh, let me just put another picture back in. So, sorry about that. Let's see, let's go back to Southwest, right? Let me just return live here, 1 second. Oh no, sorry, that's the wrong one. I beg your pardon, I beg your pardon. Here we go, there's the live. That should be the up-to-date view. Yes, so that's back in Southwest, so that's Harriet there. Taking a look, so I don't know where M15 is at the moment, but I believe M15 will be very very, very much there too. I can see that 1,993 people online at the Southwest Florida Eagle Camp. I must say I'm thrilled to see that so many people are so nature interested and watching this. And if we jump to Northeast Florida, they have 1,798 online as I speak now. Isn't that incredible? That is absolutely incredible. Beautiful camera, by the way. Really beautiful camera view here of Romeo on the nest. Obviously very exhausted and taking a rest here. So isn't that incredible? So many people online. That is absolutely marvelous. The chat is closed already in the Northeast. And in Southwest, they are still running crazy. That is incredible. That is absolutely incredible. Very nice to see. So that's the live view anyway. So Kathy Harter said they had over 7,000 watching today. Isn't that beautiful? Osprey Mama says, Christian, thank you for taking time out of your vacation time and to let everyone voice how they are feeling. Well, that's important. You are such a kind man. Well, thank you for your kind words and thank you. I mean, I am just like all of you here, okay? I believe I'm compassionate and I just want to voice and give you another type of possibility to voice what you're feeling. Marty Lord, think egg 1 may no longer be viable. So we're talking about Northeast Florida, but maybe egg 2 is sadly probably they won't hatch with all the female intruders. It could be, yes, it would be far worse to watch one of them go. I agree with you after the baby, yes, after it hatches, not looking good either way for the eggs. That is absolutely right. You got a lot of support for that remark, for that comment, Marty Lord. Yes, absolutely agreed. Irene McNamara says, prayers and thoughts continue for our Hamlet nest. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you. Debbie Hart says, thank you, sir, and Merry Christmas. That is very kind of you. Kim Stout says, Harriet, cover E12 with a squirrel skin, covers with a squirrel skin today. So smart, trying to keep it warm. Isn't that incredible? I didn't even see that. Thank you for bringing in that comment. And Cheryl Meyer says, this is therapy for all of us. Thank you. I completely agree. And that is the same for me. Very much. Okay, so I'm now going to say, I'm going to call it a day. I think this has been incredible sharing this event with you. We've been for over 1 hour talking about grief. And I feel your comments have been absolutely invaluable. A beautiful way of sharing thoughts on the Northeast Florida nest, and at the same time looking at the beautiful development of new life on the Southwest Florida nest. So that's been absolutely wonderful. So I'm going to sign off now and say thank you very much to you. So I have to see now how I do all this sequence. So first, I'm going to say goodbye to my Facebook friends. Thank you and Merry Christmas to all of you. Have a wonderful Christmas. Celebrate with your families, wherever you may be. Have a Merry Christmas and all the best. And I'll see you after Christmas sometime, just before New Year. And then I'll say the same to my YouTube friends. Thank you very much. And thank you again to Lady Hawk and also Osprey Mama for the contributions and all others who've given all the beautiful contributions tonight. Have a Merry Christmas, a very peaceful time with your friends and family, wherever you may be. Enjoy the eagles, and may the eagles make us feel good. And, well, be it anthropogenic or not, it's the way, anthropomorphic, sorry, be it anthropomorphic or not, that's the way we are, right? That is the way we are as humans, okay? So, anyway, I wish you a Merry Christmas and all the best. Thank you so much.